just an incredible job. First of all, creating clean energy. And I think last time we met was about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. You had the 6th line going. Yeah, fantastic. And the medical isotopes too. You're doing incredible work. You're leading the world, so we're just very, very grateful. But before I get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Rocco. Rocco, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for stepping up and really driving the economy here in Ontario. And what happens in Ontario, as you know, reflects the rest of the country. But I'll tell you a little side story. I had a friend that went on one of these long hikes of 800 kilometers, and you know Carm, right? And so he comes back and he says, you know, I went through 2 pairs of shoes and my knees have given out and this is given out. And I saw him this morning. He goes, would you believe Rocco did it 17 times? And these little jaunts are 800 kilometers, by the way. And so what an amazing feat that is. But we're very, very grateful. And you've had such an amazing impact on the Chamber in just 6 short years. And thank you for your tremendous energy and leadership and for being such a great, strong, effective voice for Ontario and the business community. But most importantly, to me, thank you for our friendship. I'm very, very grateful. So I wish you all the best in the next chapter. I also want to congratulate the entire team from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce here on the 20th anniversary of the Ontario Economic Summit. Again, thank you for your partnership. You know, folks, I always say I can't do my job without the incredible team I have at Queen's Park. Our family's been in politics probably for 35 years, pretty well almost every level, and I've never seen a better team than the team we have here. And James, I know you introduced our team before I came in, but they're incredible. We look at government. You have 2 choices. You run it like the private sector or you run it like the government. We run it like the private sector. And our number 1 goal is to get things done similar to what we all do in the private sector. And I always tell my friends in the private sector, it's like running a $204 billion a year company. If you add up everyone, probably 800,000 employees, probably closer to 1 million, and a GDP of over $1 trillion. And, you know, you just compare that to some of the largest corporations in the world, aren't even at that level. But the most impressive thing that I've ever seen, when we took office, the budget was about $150 billion. And I remember the media always saying, you got to raise taxes and so on and so forth. And I said, that's the worst thing you could ever do, is raise taxes. You're taking money out of people's pockets and they won't be able to go for the dinner. They won't be able to put a little addition or buy a refrigerator or so on and so forth. We've never raised a tax on the people. We took the opposite approach. We reduced taxes on the folks of Ontario, but we also reduced taxes on businesses. So we went from a $150 billion budget. We grew revenues up to $204 billion. And when we took office, the previous government chased 300,000 jobs out of the province. Right now, there's 715,000 people that are working that weren't working 5 years ago, that are paying taxes now. There's billions and billions of dollars, which I'll get into in a little while, of businesses that are investing into our province, because number 1 selling feature, I'm looking at them right here, all the people. We have the best, the smartest, the brightest people anywhere in the world to attract companies. And I always say, when companies thrive, prosper, and grow, so do people. They thrive, prosper, and grow within those companies. And we live in the best jurisdiction in the entire world. And this year's theme, partnerships for prosperity, is very timely one. Now more than ever, we need to work together. Businesses, workers, union leaders, First Nations, communities, and all levels of government. I had a good chat with my friend, the Prime Minister. He was walking out. We had a chat, and you know something? I always told the Prime Minister, Prime Minister, 30% of the people vote for me. Guess what? They vote for you. We've had this conversation for a long time. There's no 2 governments in the history of this country, and forget about the same political stripes or different political stripes, that have worked closer together than our two governments. It doesn't matter if it's the EVs or if it comes to the mining or healthcare or technology or electric arc furnaces. I could go on and on and on. That's great. That's what makes things happen. That's what makes our country and our province thrive. It helps us build a stronger, more resilient economy that can weather any storm. And I've said this before, when it comes to our economy, it's our businesses and entrepreneurs, not government, that are the driving job, that drives jobs and creates innovation and growth. I always say, get government out of the way. The market always dictates, but when companies need support, we have to be there. But don't throw up hurdle after hurdle. A lot of people, a few years ago, we named a minister called the Minister of Red Tape. And everyone thought that was hilarious. You got a minister of red tape. Well, guess what, folks? That minister of red tape and cutting regulations got $1 billion of just hurdles away from sectors. It equals over 100,000 hours that folks in these big corporations don't have to have one area that deals with the government's red tape. So that's amazing. They've done an incredible job. What a government can do, what we are doing in supporting you by creating the conditions for jobs to grow and businesses to succeed here. Since coming into office in 2018, I just mentioned we've cut the red tape, saving people and businesses over $1 billion and over 100,000 hours of every year. And the toughest job in here is the guy doing the teleprompter, because I'm all over the place right now. He doesn't know which way he's going, and I'm repeating messages. So I apologize who's ever doing the teleprompter. I'm making a mess of it. But anyways, we've made electricity more affordable by reducing electricity rates for small, medium, and large-sized businesses from 15 to 17% lower. That's what makes us competitive. Everyone knows it's such a competitive market out there. We're competing against our friends, and I love the U.S., by the way. I was down there in our business for about 20 years. I have a lot of friends down there, but it's so competitive against them with this IRA. They're pouring money into it. But what I love is we're kicking their butts. We're beating them, and no matter if it's the Volkswagen or Stellantis or the other billions and billions of dollars that are on our doorstep that I'll talk about in a minute. And we're keeping taxes and fees low to be competitive around the world. And overall, we've reduced the cost of doing business, as I mentioned earlier on, by $8 billion. That's $8 billion with a B. But it's not just once. This is every single year. And business owners here, you must be getting, I'll just use one example, WSIB premiums. We've reduced them by $3 billion. So everyone's getting a big, huge check, and they're reinvesting it into their people, into the infrastructure, into technology, and that's what works when you put more money into the system. And friends, our plan, the steps we're taking to make it easier to do business and create jobs, it's working right now. This year, Ontario is once again recognized as the most competitive place to do business in Canada. The numbers speak for themselves. Today, there's over 2,134 more business operating in our province compared to last year. And companies in Ontario, including your companies, are growing and expanding, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs. In fact, as I mentioned, the 715,000 more people working today than in 2018. We have over 360,000 jobs available right now in the market in every single sector. And it's truly amazing. And friends, as an example of partnerships and cooperation, we're working closely with stakeholders across several sectors to attract new investments. We've developed the Life Science Council, and I just met some folks from a great company called Roche, amazing. But just on the life sciences sector alone, it's over $3.5 billion of investment, no matter if it's from Sanofi investing over $1 billion, or AstraZeneca, or Moderna, or Roche. And we're seeing people come in, the companies come in, and I always tell them, and I told them today, right before I left to come here, I said, the number one quality is the people again. I said, We have 65,000 STEM graduates graduating every single year. I said, I'll put our colleges and our universities up against any colleges, universities anywhere in the world. We have the best and the brightest coming out of there. We have some of the brightest minds in our hospitals. UHN down the street, Kevin Smith, a pal of mine, the largest research hospital in the world. Or I could go talk about St. Mike's or Sunnybrook, and the list goes on. We've established Ontario as a global biomanufacturing and life science hub right here. And in the last 3 years, as I mentioned, there was probably $3.5 billion in new investments in life science projects. But another one I really love is the tech sector, because the tech sector is in every single area of every single sector. And we've seen over $14 billion of investment in the tech sector. And these are some really amazing stats. You look at the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, you're looking at Seattle and New York. We've created more jobs than all of them combined. So just Silicon Valley, and I think it's dropping now in San Francisco Bay Area. They're facing some challenges right now in San Francisco. There's about 388,000 people that are employed. We're seeing growth of over 415,000 people that are employed in the tech sector. As most of you know, AI, we have the brightest people in AI right here in Toronto and in the region. AI was created here over at U of T. Again, another incredible university. In fact, the tech job creation in Toronto, and I just mentioned that, the tech jobs creation here continues to outpace, as I mentioned, San Francisco, Bay Area, Seattle, and New York City. And this teleprompter is going to drive me nuts because I keep repeating what I'm saying. We're also putting our manufacturing sector back on the map. We're building a homegrown electric vehicle supply chain that's going to benefit every single community in the province for generations to come. We're connecting critical minerals in the north, and everyone's heard about the Ring of Fire. And I have my two great ministers here from the north, and George and Greg, I think you were announced, but true leaders when it comes to this. We have hundreds of billions of dollars up in the Ring of Fire, and everyone wants our critical minerals, rightfully so. We probably have 34 of the most critical minerals anywhere in the world right here. But we have one rule. You can come and get our critical minerals, but you have to make sure the refining is here and the manufacturing is here. So the critical minerals of the north flow down through the south, through our green steel facilities in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie. We truly have green steel here. So we switched over from coal over to electric arc furnaces, so we can say we truly have a green auto sector. And what I love the most, we have 6 of the largest auto manufacturers anywhere in the world right here in Ontario. Nowhere in the world can say they have 6 of the largest manufacturers, no matter if it's the autos or the EVs. We've attracted over $27 billion in the auto sector in the last 2.5 years. We're seeing massive gains. We heard about the great story, and I talk about my American friends, and I absolutely love them down there. But we were in a tight spot with Volkswagen. Volkswagen started off with 90 regions around the world, and they whittled it down, and it was between us and Chattanooga. And they have a big plant in Chattanooga. And we were able to put a package together with collaboration with the federal government and the great mayor of St. Thomas. And I call him Mayor Joe. This guy's classic. I love him. And he was a selling feature to Volkswagen. So we come in, Joe Preston. So we come in, we're sitting around the table. We have all the big wigs from Volkswagen, myself and Mayor Preston. And they asked him a question. And he said, well, first of all, right away, I always say yes. And then what is the question? So they love that, yes, because, big companies just, the ones who play a big part of it is local municipalities. They can either make you or break you. But he was the #1 selling feature when we were landing Toyota. That's on top of the Stellantis investment that you've heard, and down in southwestern Ontario, another massive investment of over $5 billion. They're putting a battery plant, and we're revitalizing southwestern Ontario. At one time in St. Thomas and down in Windsor, you could shoot a cannon down the middle of the streets. Now, both jurisdictions are going to be thriving, because for every auto job we create, there's spin-offs of 7 to 1. So if they employ, Volkswagen 3,000 people, multiply 7 times that, because not only are they building, these are pretty good numbers here. Does anyone understand real estate? Because it's hard if you don't understand square footage here. Okay, they're building the 4th largest building in the world, 16 million square feet. Just think of that, 16 million square feet. That's pretty staggering. And the way I, put it into simple terms, a Walmart or a Costco is about 100,000 square feet. So do the math. It's going to be absolutely incredible. But at the back of their building, they focus on just-in-time, JIT, and they're going to have all their suppliers feeding the parts into their plant. And we're also attracting the supply chain as well. And then we talk about Stellantis, which will open another electric vehicle battery plant in Windsor. Folks, we're making sure we're competing against U.S. and all their states, traditional auto superpowers like Michigan and Ohio, and we're winning. Companies, as I mentioned, like Volkswagen and Stellantis and Umicore and BrightDrop, they're choosing Ontario because of our competitive business environment, our skilled workforce, access to critical minerals, and major markets in North America. I always tell our friends, we are an economic powerhouse in North America. Make no mistake about it. We're the fastest growing region anywhere in North America. And I have the opportunity and the privilege, I always say, to reach out to our governors down in the U.S. and senators and congresspeople, and I've had a lot of conversations, and the great governor of Texas and Florida. They always say, hey, we're the fastest growing state in the country. And they're right. They get about 1,000 people a day coming through, which is about 365,000 people a year. Okay, they're 32 million, Texas. Florida's about 22 million. We're growing at a rapid pace. We're roughly about 16 million now. We saw last year alone over 800,000 people come into our province. Those are staggering numbers. And next year, there'll be another 800,000. And as I always tell the PM or the federal government, I always say, I always complain, I need more workers, I need more people. We have more jobs. So they brought in 1.2 million people. And I said to one of my friends there up in the federal government, I said, where do you think the balance of the 400,000 people are going to go? Oh, they're going everywhere. They're going out west, they're going to Nova Scotia, they're going here, they're going there. I said, granted, they're going to land there, but I'll bet you anything that half of those people are coming to Ontario. That's where the jobs are. And that goes in to making sure we build homes, we build affordable homes, attainable homes. We need to build 1.5 million homes no matter what it takes, because right now, I'll tell you what's happening in Etobicoke North with asylum seekers. Anyone wants to drive up into my area, these poor folks just want a better life. And they're living in the hotels. Their kids are living in the hotels. They're running all around. And I pull over. I go through the Tims. I pull over. I chat with them. And they're what they need, they want to work. They just need their working papers, their permits. So let's expedite it and get moving on that. They're living in church basements. They're showering in gyms. My heart breaks for these people because their kids are our future. And they make no mistake about it. They don't want to sit back and collect money. They want to start their lives like everyone else that's come to Canada and send their kids to college and university and be the next business owner, entrepreneur, doctor, lawyer. That's what they want. So we're going to be there and we're going to support them any way we can. But friends, while our economy has been incredibly resilient, we can't take anything for granted. As we've navigated economic, geopolitical uncertainty, we need to remain competitive. When I speak to business owners, both big, small, they say one of their main concerns is finding and retaining talent, and that's why we need to get these folks into the sector. This historic and chronic labor shortage is driving up the cost of doing business and hindering growth. When we have 360,000 people or jobs available and they aren't being filled, that affects our GDP, right down to the bottom line. That's why our government is investing over $1 billion working closely with the private sector union partners to train the skilled workforce for the jobs of today and tomorrow, and to help ensure you have workers you need. When you need someone, you'll be able to pick up the phone or put an ad out there and people will come, and that's what you need to grow and expand your business. As we do, we've embarked on the most ambitious capital plan in our province's history, building the critical infrastructure that our growing province needs. So I'm going to rattle off numbers, and folks, I apologize. I'm rattling off these numbers. I'm just a numbers guy. And I always tell our team, numbers don't lie. Give me the numbers. That's what we do in the private sector. So just roll off the numbers. So here we go. We're spending about $184 billion on infrastructure, and that is badly needed. You get out in your car and you go on the highways, they're absolutely jam-packed. My great Deputy Premier, Minister of Health, would it take us about half an hour to go from Queen's Park down here. We're building the largest transit system in North America, over $30 billion for the 4 subway lines. We're doubling the size of the Toronto subway line. We're expanding GO to a tune altogether about $70 billion. We're building highways, and we need to build these highways, Highway 413, the Bradford Bypass. We have to build Highway 7 because every government's been talking about it, connecting Kitchener to Guelph. They've been talking about it for 60 years, but we're getting it done. We're going to get those shovels in the ground, just to name a few. Expanding Highway 3, and up in your area, Greg, what is it, Highway 17 we're doing as well. Infrastructure is critical, but one of my favorites is healthcare. We're building new hospitals, or expanding and putting expansions on. There's nowhere in Ontario where you live that you aren't either getting a brand new hospital or you're getting an addition to a hospital. On 50 projects, over $50 billion. We're building new hospitals, which is absolutely incredible. And again, thank you for your leadership, Sylvia, and infrastructure's leadership. Friends, with the lingering inflation, the Bank of Canada's crushing interest rates hikes over the past year, Russia's illegal war in Ukraine, Hamas' heinous acts of terror against Israel, and ongoing challenges with supply chains, we need to remain focused, like real focused, laser focused. We need to work together to keep building our economy. Tomorrow, Minister Bethlenfalvy will introduce the fall economic statement. And, you know, we have one of the greatest finance ministers I've ever seen. I always say side and side with my good friend Jim Flaherty, but they're both incredible. Peter's doing a great job because he's making sure we're spending money in the places we need it. In healthcare, when we took office, started with $61 billion, it's up to $81 billion. But we have the great partners in the healthcare sector, the best docs and the nurses anywhere in the world. We're added over 3,200 hospital beds. We're adding another over 3,000 hospital beds. We've registered over 63,000 nurses since we took office. We have 15,000. We set a record last year, registering over 15,000 nurses last year alone. And with my great minister, Jill Dunlop, over there, we have 30,000 nurses, as I say, in the hopper, in the colleges and universities, ready to fill the spaces. For the first time ever, we're building medical schools here. We're building medical schools out in Brampton, out in Scarborough. We're adding more undergrads and grads coming up. Get ready for the growth, because it's unprecedented growth. And a lot of times you see me jumping up and down about housing, so on and so forth. What the public doesn't know, and I try to explain it, the amount of people that are coming here is staggering. And God bless the federal government. We get along well. We thought 200,000 people are arriving. Surprise, surprise. You know, you wake up and 800,000 people are flowing in quicker than we can handle them right now. So Peter's going to introduce the fall economic statement. We're going to be prudent fiscal managers, but we're always going to look at making sure we increase spending on education that we're doing in massive amounts, building new schools, and with healthcare. Our plan provides a responsible, targeted approach to help people and businesses today while laying a strong foundation for the future. It will build a more resilient economy, reduce costs for people and businesses, and help us build critical infrastructure faster. And while the world faces so much uncertainty, one thing I have complete confidence in, and I've mentioned it numerous times tonight, are the people of Ontario, including the leaders right here in the room. Folks, you're the folks that make the difference. You're the people that drive innovation and creativity and job creation. Like I always say, when we all come together as Team Ontario, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. Together, we're going to build Ontario for generations to come. I want to thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Premier, just hang on for a second, because you said some really nice things, and it's only fair that I return the favor. One, it's really important